everyone. Welcome to this class about our inner summer or the ovulation phase of our cycle. And if you're not currently menstruating or you've gone through menopause, a great time to do this practice would be around the full moon, a couple days before and after the full moon. And generally speaking, inner summer ovulation is a time of feeling more expansive, more extroverted, maybe more social. And in our practice, it can be a time to add in a little bit more heat, make it a little bit more solar and a little less lunar. And then the lunar will come in towards the end of the luteal phase and definitely through the menstrual phase. So that's kind of the balance between the two in Hatha yoga. And Hatha means sun and moon. So we try to balance the two, and that's going to be different for each body. So if this practice feels a little too heating for you, you can change the breath patterns to just a slow, steady breath. You can always come into a child's pose or another restorative pose that feels good in your body today. And generally speaking, just tune into your body and don't do anything that doesn't feel good, okay? So for our practice today, it would be great if you could have a blanket or a pillow, something you can prop your hips up onto. And if you have blocks, grab them. If not, that's perfectly fine. You can also use a stack of books, maybe old phone books if you have them. Just something that brings the floor a little closer to you so we can get a little bit more expansion, especially in the upper body and how we're going to move today. So go ahead and grab what you need, set your space, maybe take a breath in with your favorite essential oil. Especially in this fall season, a grounding sort of oil, maybe tree resins or something that feels woody and earthy would be really good. I particularly love Balance essential oil. That's something that I've been working with, and that's the doTERRA blend, grounding blend. And while I'm on the topic, just to let you know that this inner summer practice is going to be a little bit more subdued than maybe when we would do in July or August because we are in the fall season. So we're keeping that in mind and still keeping the practice a little bit toned back, a little bit more grounded, so we create that inner-outer balance. So grab what you need and I will meet you on the mat. Okay, so we're going to begin our practice seated today, and we're just going to do a bit of a check-in. So go ahead and prop your hips up onto a blanket. You can have it folded in quarters like this, like I have. Maybe you'd like to fold the edge up one more time. Just make sure it's nice and even, and that will prop your hips up even more. Begin to open up the pelvis, and so that a cross-legged seated position like this is possible. If this does not feel possible in the body today, you can also just cross the legs like this. Feel free to grab blocks and rest them under the knees for more support. So just take a minute to actually notice what feels good in your body today. It might be different than your last practice. It likely is. So just taking time to be self-honoring in this way and just settling in. Let the sit bones get nice and heavy on the mat. Maybe today you'd like to place one hand over the heart and one hand over the womb space. Closing the eyes if that feels comfortable. Just letting the sound of my voice guide you and letting your inner guidance guide you. Taking deep, full breaths in, expanding into the lower belly. And exhaling, letting the belly move back toward the spine. And as you breathe in this way, lengthening each inhale, deepening each exhale, begin to tap into or pay attention to the rest of the body. Notice where there may be sensations arising, tension held from the rest of the day, maybe the week, maybe the months. And see if that tension will soften just a little bit by bringing awareness to it. Maybe your shoulders roll down the back. Maybe the chest opens and lifts just a little bit, opening up that heart space. Maybe you feel willing to let the belly soften. Be relaxed. Continuing to scan down through the body now, letting the hips soften and open, the inner knees soften, the shins and the ankles and even the toes. Letting it all soften and let gravity do the work of pulling you down, feeling heavier, more rooted, more grounded. And if it feels okay, you can begin Ujjayi breathing. This is known as ocean sound breath. And if you've never done Ujjayi breath before, it's quite simple. All you have to do is pretend like you're going to try to fog up a window. So you're going to go, and notice how you feel that little constriction in your throat when you do that. You're going to keep that, but keep the mouth closed. So, and same with the inhale. So play with that for a couple of rounds of breath. If it gives you any anxiety at all, just drop it. Come back to a natural, organic breath in your body. Good. And then maybe you bring both palms to the heart center, gently bowing to the heart wisdom and setting your intention for your practice today. Maybe it's to honor that blossoming expansion of the inner summer. Maybe you're focused on rooting and grounding into the fall season. Or maybe there's something else that's really calling your attention today. Honor that and continue to let it be your anchor through your practice today. Good. And then we're just going to begin with some hip openings. So we're going to do some hip circles. Moving with the breath, inhaling forward and exhaling back. And if you feel imbalanced sitting up on the blanket, you can always slide that out from underneath you so that you're flat on your mat. Starting slow, getting nice and deep into those hips, into the lower back. Beginning to warm up the core. A little hint for where we're going today. And then maybe once you begin to warm up, you speed it up just a little bit. Only if that feels good in your body today. And then let's switch directions. Good. Just noticing if there's a difference from the right hip to the left hip. I know in my body there definitely is. Good. And then let's come back to a steady seat. We're going to just do seated cat-cow. So inhaling, opening the heart, lifting the chest, lifting the chin, and exhaling, rounding in. And continuing like this, following your breath. See if you can deepen the inhales and the exhales as you find a motion, a rhythm that feels good in your body. Letting the breath carry you through the poses is a way to get nice and deep and an expansive feel in a pose without overexerting the physical body. Couple more. And then inhaling, lengthen through the spine. Hold the breath at the top. Take in just a little bit more breath. Hold it. And sigh it out. Good. One more breath practice to kind of warm our bodies up, heat us up, get the core activated. And in Kundalini Yoga, this is known as Ego Eradicator. You may also have heard it if you've taken other vinyasa or hatha classes called Kapalabhati breath or skull shining breath. So what we're going to do is raise the arms up at a 60-degree angle. The fingers are going to be down against the knuckles, the inner knuckles, and the thumbs point toward us. And then we're going to begin what's called a breath of fire. So it's really emphasizing the exhale and letting the inhale come naturally. So we keep the mouth closed. It's happening through the nose, and I'll just demonstrate it before we begin. So if that feels awkward, another way that you can try it, especially if you're home alone with nobody around you, you can stick the tongue out and pretend to pant like a dog. Just like that. And then once you feel comfortable with the movement in the body, you get a rhythm down, you can close the mouth and same action. Okay, so we're going to close the eyes. The gaze is focused right at the tip between the eyebrows or the third eye point. And we're going to go for just a minute or so, okay? So begin whenever you're ready. Good, belly pulling in on the exhale, keeping the spine nice and long, not lifting the chin, but not tucking it into the chest, just gently resting it at a neutral position. Feel free to go at the pace that I'm going, slow it down if that feels better, or you can even speed it up a little bit. Couple more. Good, now inhale the breath in. Keeping the eyes closed, begin to bring the thumbs together overhead until the tips of the thumbs touch together. Then open the fingers up, spread the fingers nice and wide, keeping the thumbs together, holding that breath, reaching up, 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 and exhale, sweep the hands down, placing them on the mat beside you, grounding. And just notice how the body feels on all of its layers after doing that short practice. Notice if you feel a little bit more awake, alert, present, enlivened. Notice if it stirred anything up for you. Just becoming aware, a curious observer in the body. Good, and then blinking the eyes open, we're going to come into all fours position, tabletop at the front of our mats. So shoulders right over the creases of the wrist, fingers spreading nice and wide and planting down into the mat, knees right under the hips, and you can keep the toes tucked under or tops of the feet flat on the mat, whatever feels better for you and your body today. And then we'll begin to inhale, open the chest, and exhale, draw in and up. Inhale, opening, expanding out, and exhale, rounding in. Good, finding a rhythm, a pace that feels good, expansive in the body today. And when you feel ready, you can begin to do hip circles. So inhaling forward and exhaling back, getting into those outer hips now. Beginning to stretch through the side body. Good, and then switching directions. If your knees pop, that's okay. Just oxygenating all of the joints. Good, and coming back to tabletop now. Tucking the toes under for extra stability here. We're going to come into bird dog pose. So keeping that pattern of working the core today, extending the left arm out in front of you and the right leg back behind you. Just see if you can balance here. Maybe today you keep both hands down and just keep that back leg straight and lengthening out like you're going to press into the wall behind you. Good. I'm just taking a few deep belly breaths here. Good. And bringing the hand down, bringing the knee down. Go ahead and shake the hips from side to side. Good. And then other side. So extending that right arm out in front of you, extending the left leg back behind you, drawing the belly up toward the spine. Good. And just practicing that balance between contracting the core and lengthening through the limbs. Keeping the neck nice and long. And then bringing the hand down, the knee down. Good. And let's take the toes together, knees nice and wide, and come into a child's pose. And just let the body melt. Let the mind rest by resting the third eye center right onto your mat. Good, and then we're going to come up onto all fours and walk the knees back just a step or two, tuck the toes, and you know where we're going, down dog. So this is our first down dog. You can keep the feet a little bit wider than hip distance, keep the knees bent, gently lift the hips up toward the sky. Good, roll the shoulders down the back, twisting the outer arms toward the body. Keeping a nice solid foundation here, and then maybe you shake the head, yes, no, forward and backward. Good, and maybe you pedal the feet. Shake the hips from side to side, whatever feels good in the body. No movement is off limits here. Good, and then finding a nice steady down dog, feet about hip width apart, heels moving down toward the mat, hips lifting. And always, always coming back to the breath. Good, keeping that left foot planted, inhale the right leg back behind you and bend the knee, open the hip. Good. Try to keep the shoulders squared toward the front of the mat. You'll feel a deeper stretch in that front hip. And then extend the leg behind you and bring it back down. Planting that right foot down now. Inhale the left leg up. Bend the knee, open the hip. Squaring the shoulders. Maybe roll the ankle out. Move the toes. Good. And then extending the leg back behind you, squaring the hips. Down dog. Inhale, look forward and begin to tiptoe the toes toward the front of the mat. Inhale, coming up halfway, keeping a nice bend in the knees, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, fold, letting the belly rest on the thighs. Maybe you grab opposite elbows and hang out here, gently sway left to right. Again, just using this time, using this practice to melt away any tension, any stress, and to come back to what's really present for you right now. Hands to the shins, inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rising all the way to standing, reach up, lengthen up, and exhale, come to mountain pose, standing. Maybe you place one hand over the heart and one hand over the womb space again. And just breathe here. Send your awareness down into your feet, all four corners of the feet. And maybe you envision roots coming out of the bottoms of the feet down into the core of the earth, creating that earth connection with the body. And inhaling up, lengthen through both sides of the body. Maybe you gently open the heart and exhale, fold. You can keep a gentle bend in the knees here, no need to lock them out. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, place the hands and step the left foot back behind you. Bending into the right knee, right over the ankle, and then dropping the back knee down. Top of the foot can be planted again or tucked under, and coming up into low lunge. So taking a moment here just to begin to open up into that left front hip, drawing the right hip toward you, and inhaling again. Maybe you want to open the heart. Maybe you take the arms, slide the shoulder blades down the back, come into like a cactus pose with the arms, opening the heart just a bit more. Who couldn't use a little hope and upliftment and optimism right now, right? Good. Inhale, lengthen back through the arms. Place the hands down, and this might be a place where you want the blocks. So you can slide the blocks next to squaring around that front foot, and then begin to straighten that front leg, coming into runner's lunge. Good. Keeping the front toes flexed back toward you. Again, drawing that right hip back, left hip forward, and lengthening through the spine. Getting nice and deep into those hammies. Good. Bending back into that front knee, setting the blocks aside. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back leg, and once you feel steady and rooted, inhale, rise up into high lunge. Now here, oftentimes our hips are a little wonky, especially in the first one, so let's bend that left knee and draw the tailbone in and under, like a little bit in and up, not curling it too much. It's a very subtle movement. But once you've got that, bend a little bit deeper into the front knee and then begin to lengthen through the back foot, out through the heel. And notice if that makes a difference for you. Good, breathing here, steady, strong. Feel free to open up the heart again if you want a little bit more upliftment, more expansion. Good, and then inhale, lengthen, place the hands down, and step back, plank pose. So finding a nice, steady, strong plank. And for this first one, let's drop the knees and come down chest and then chin. Coming into a baby cobra. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, coming back down. We're going to do that a couple of times. Inhale, rolling the shoulders down the back, coming up into baby cobra, and exhale, fold. Again, one more. Inhale, just keeping it a baby cobra for now. Lengthening through the neck, finding as much space through the spine as you can, and then lowering down. Good. And tucking the toes, not the knees, and pressing up and back into down dog. And just settle into down dog, take a moment, release any tension, any holding. And then get nice and steady in that left foot. Inhale, extend the right leg back behind you. And as you exhale, bend the knee toward the nose, crunching. Inhale, extend. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend. Exhale, crunch. Two more. Inhale, extend. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend. And exhale, crunch. Good. Inhale, extend the leg back behind you and set it down, down dog. Ooh. Feel free to sigh it out at any time. When we start to work with our core, sometimes it brings up anger and frustration and irritability. So just allow that to be energy. Don't take it personally and let it move through you. Inhale, looking toward the front of the mat, and exhale, walk your way to the front and fold. Inhale, coming up halfway, and exhale, fold.
Inhale, rising all the way up, reaching up. And exhale, draw the hands back to heart center. And take a moment here. Place one hand over the heart, one hand over the womb space. And ground it once again. Energy awareness in the feet. Letting the energy settle. Feeling the heat moving through the body. Beautiful. Inhale, reach up, lengthen up, and exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway, and exhale, step the right foot back behind you, dropping the back knee down, coming into low lunge on the left side. So taking a moment here just to find that opening in the right hip, the drawing back of the left hip. So kind of those counter actions of the inner thighs squeezing together, that supports your lower body. And then raise the arms up once you're ready. Good. Lower body steady, upper body rising, opening. If you'd like to take that heart opening again, go ahead. If you feel like you feel a little bit more grounded and stable here today, that's perfectly fine. And in fact, you can stay right here. No problem. Do what works best for you and don't force anything. And grabbing your blocks if you have them, if you need them, and beginning to straighten that left leg, coming into a runner's lunge. Lengthening through the spine. Breathing. I'm definitely feeling the heat moving through my body. How about you? Good. Good, and then bending back into that front knee, set the blocks aside, lift the back leg up, and once you feel stable, come up into a high lunge. Bend the right knee, scoop the hips in and up, lengthen, and then extend back through the back leg to straighten it. Good. Breathing here. Feeling those legs strengthening, keeping you rooted and steady in your life. One more in-breath, and exhale, place the hands down and come to plank. Now here, you can take knees, chest, chin again, or on your next exhale, slowly come all the way down onto the mat. Pressing the tops of the feet into the mat, inhale, cobra, and exhale, fold down. Two more. Inhale, cobra, maybe coming up a little bit more this time, if that feels good. And exhale, fold. Inhale, cobra. Letting that heart space just pour energy out. And exhale, bend the knees, tuck the toes, and press back, down dog. Settling into your down dog, and just notice how this down dog feels different than your very first one. So if you're telling yourself, I'm stiff, I can't do yoga, you absolutely can, and just notice how much has opened up in your body in just a few minutes. Now planting that right foot down, inhale, extend the left leg back behind you, and as you exhale, bend the knee toward the nose and crunch. Inhale, extend, exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend, exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend, knee to nose. Last one, inhale, extend, and exhale, rounding the back, knee to the nose. Good. Inhale, extending the leg back and bringing it down, down dog. Rolling the shoulders down, away from the ears, making sure there's no tension in the neck. Good. And then inhale, look forward. You can step or hop forward. And inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rising all the way to standing, reach up, lengthen up. And exhale, hands to mountain pose. Breathe, ground, check in. Good. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, place the hands and step the left foot back behind you, coming into warrior two. So you might want to heel toe that front foot up a little bit. Back foot comes down parallel to the back edge of the mat, and the front heel lines up with the back arch. Once you've got that alignment, coming up into warrior two. Get my hair out of my mouth. Good, and then just lifting that back thigh up and back so it's twisting this way. Bending into that front knee, tracking right over the second and third toe. Once you find some alignment, don't worry about it. Let it go and just settle into the pose. Good. From here, we're going to take the back hand to the back thigh and inhale, reverse warrior. Good. Lengthening through that right side body. And then as you exhale, coming into side angle pose. So you can bring the forearm down onto the thigh and take that left arm overhead. If you feel like your hips are pretty open today, maybe you slide that right hand down. Maybe you reach for a block and bring the floor a little closer to you. Good. And bringing both hands down, stepping back into plank pose. Take an inhale here, exhale, lower. Inhale, coming up cobra or up dog. And exhale, pressing up and back into down dog. And the core fire continues, and you can absolutely skip it. You can just stay here in down dog, or inhale, extend the right leg back behind you, and exhale, knee to elbow this time. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Knee to elbow. And one more. Inhale, extend. And exhale, knee to elbow. You can also do this on hands and knees if that feels better for you. And then coming back to down dog. Breathe. Let the energy settle. And ground. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk your way or hop your way to the front of the mat and fold. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Calm the nervous system. Inhale, rise all the way to standing. Reach up, lengthen up. And exhale, hands back to mountain. They can come to heart center. One hand over the heart, one hand over the womb space. Whatever feels good for you. In these moments of stillness, it's a great time to check in, to notice the percentage at which you're working. And if you're working over 75% of your total effort, back off. Take easier versions of the poses. Take a child's pose. If you feel like you're working between 50 to 75% of your total effort, stay right there. That's the sweet spot. Good. Inhale, extend the arms up, lengthen, and exhale, turn inward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, step the right foot back behind you, coming into warrior two on the left side. So taking a moment just to set your pose, finding your alignment, grounding down into the legs, reaching out through the arms, lifting the heart up ever so slightly. And then flipping the palm up on the left hand and coming into reverse warrior. Inhale, coming up into side angle pose. So again, left forearm can come onto the thigh, right arm overhead. You can drop that left hand down. Maybe it comes to the mat, maybe it comes to a block. So take a minute to, again, honor your body and find the pose that feels most enlivening, most expansive. If you notice that your breath is shallow or contracted, back off. Find a gentler modification. Take a child's pose. Rest until the breath returns. Good, and placing both hands down now. And stepping back into plank. Take an inhale here. And exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Then exhale, down dog. Last part of our core enlivening today, I promise. Inhale, extend the left leg back behind you. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Knee to elbow. Last one. Good. Extend the leg back. And drop the foot down, down dog. Beautiful. And let's drop to the knees. Take them nice and wide and press back, child's pose. Let the full breaths return. Let the heart rate slow down. Calming the body, calming the mind. Inhale, lengthen through the spine and come up to seated. So I'm going to face you once again. We're going to come into some seated postures. First, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. So if you'd like to sit up on a blanket once again, support the hips, allowing the pelvis to kind of dip forward a little bit so you can get deeper into those inner thighs. If not, just being on the mat is completely fine. We're going to twist to the right first. So we're going to inhale, lengthen up, keeping the toes flexed. Exhale, twisting over that right leg and folding. So maybe you stop here today. That's perfectly fine. As you fold, if you want a block to support your forehead, go ahead and grab that. So just finding what feels good in your body right now. And breathing into it. Holding the seated postures a little bit longer to give the nervous system a chance to adjust. And as we do that, as we hold a little bit longer, you may notice that the body releases some tension. Something unlocks and you can go a little deeper. Good. Inhaling, coming up to center. Taking a moment to ground yourself again. And inhale, extend through both arms, this time twisting toward the left leg and folding. So again, maybe your hands drop here and you stay here and work with it. Maybe you grab a blanket or a block to rest your forehead on. And just work with the body, breath by breath. There's nowhere to get to. There's no final version of the pose. It's just an ever-unfolding experience in the body. We're just, again, curiously exploring it. Continue to lengthen out through the crown of the head. Keeping that right foot flexed. And breathing here. Seeing if you can send the breath onto the back body. So feeling the breath even in your kidneys. And then inhale, coming back up, walking your hands back to center, resetting if you need to. Then inhale, extend, and exhale, fold forward. So here again, maybe the hands catch you and you practice here. Maybe you grab a block and you can rest your forehead on the block. Or maybe you can come all the way flat. Great, no problem. Again, just working at 50 to 75% effort max. So noticing what that feels like in your body and finding the poses that support that. Try not to zone out. Try to stay present with the pose, present with the breath, present with the sensations in the body. And we'll walk the hands back toward us, slowly coming out of the pose. Carefully bending the knees, bringing the legs together. Maybe you want to shake the legs out. Good. You can bring the fists to the thighs like this to move the energy. And brush the energy down. Good. We're going to come onto our backs for a little bit of inversion practice. So coming flat onto the back, and you can have a block ready. So we're going to come into bridge pose. So if you'd like to take the supported bridge, I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So walking the feet toward the glutes, feet are parallel from one another and planted firmly. The hands can be palms facing down, grabbing the edges of the mat, and just tucking the shoulder blades underneath you, getting a little bit of that heart raise. And then as you inhale, begin to lift the hips, lift the lower back, and maybe you stay here and you slide the block underneath you and it's going to rest right at your sacrum. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more open in the back today, in the shoulders, and you can come up a little higher. Great. Maybe you clasp the hands together. And again, you're just working with where the body is today. And once we're in this pose, make sure that your gaze is straight forward. You're not turning your head from side to side to protect the neck. Gently hugging the knees toward one another, as the knees tend to like to splay out. And breathing here, letting the heart open, the chest open, bringing some energy back into the body. And if you are feeling fatigued, or if you've been under a lot of stress, I recommend taking a modified version of the bridge, so coming down a little bit, or putting a block underneath you for support, because it can be a little taxing for the adrenals. So one more breath here, and then exhale, slowly roll all the way down. Good. Hugging the knees in, feeling the lower back pressing firmly into the earth beneath you. Again, poses where the back is pressing into the mat are extremely grounding and supportive for that. So if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed or flighty, come onto your back and hug the knees into the chest. This is also a great pose if you're feeling more bloaty or gassy. These are all airy signs of Vata in the fall. And maybe you want to take the knees in a couple of circles, massaging the low back and switching directions. Just winding down. Keeping the knees together, take the arms out to a nice T position. Inhale, extend up, and exhale, drop the knees to the left. Good. And if the knees don't come all the way down, you can always bring a blanket or a block underneath you to support you. You can also bring the feet down and just let the knees come as far as they were willing to go today. So finding the modification that best supports you, letting that right shoulder press down into the mat, and you can keep your gaze straight ahead or take it over to the right. Breathing deeply here, especially into the low belly. I can hear my stomach gurgling. This is a great pose, again, for digestion. And then coming back up to center, inhaling the knees up, and exhaling them over to the right. And maybe you look over the left. I'm going to keep the palms down today for a little more grounding. Or maybe you just gaze straight toward the ceiling. Whatever feels better in your body feels better for your neck. Closing the eyes and connecting back to the breath. Connecting back to your intention for your practice today. Then inhaling both knees back up to center, pausing here. Maybe you like to squeeze the knees in toward the chest one more time. I'm going to reach for the inner edges of the feet and grab onto them and let the knees come down toward the armpits for happy baby pose. So you can hold the feet like this. I like this because it's a little bit more of a firm grip and I feel like I can get a deeper stretch in my inner thighs. You can also hold the outer edges of the feet for a little bit of a gentler happy baby pose. And again, in these fall and winter seasons, I like to hold the poses more steadily. But if it feels good, you can gently rock from side to side. And again, holding the pose long enough to allow the body to soften and begin to open up to you. Good, and bringing the knees back together, dropping the feet. We're going to come into our final resting pose now. So if you'd like to grab a sweater or a blanket, I'm going to grab my socks and slide them on. Keep my feet nice and warm. It's extra important not to lose the heat out of our feet during these colder months. So adding socks to your Shavasana can be a nice form of self-care. And then grabbing a blanket if you've got it, if that feels good. And slowly coming back into Shavasana. If you have a wall close by, you can also take your legs up the wall. It's an incredibly restorative pose, so good for us, so good for our pelvic health and our mental well-being as well. And you can bring the arms open, letting the shoulders come underneath you, palms facing up. You can place them down for greater grounding. Or maybe it feels good to place one hand on the heart and one hand on the womb space, or both hands on the womb space, on the hip points. So take a moment just to see what feels extra delicious in your body today. And allow yourself to receive that. And as we return to a fuller, deeper breath, you can begin to scan through the body one final time. Noticing if there's any holding, tension, stagnant energy that's ready to move through and out of the body. And you can assist it with the breath. So inhaling, gathering up anything that's no longer in alignment with your highest vision for yourself. And exhaling, releasing it. Letting it be that easy to let go. And please don't rush out of Shavasana. This is the most important integrative pose of the practice. It reminds the body that we're safe, that we have time to take care of ourselves, that we have time to do the healing work, both inner and outer, and that we're actually listening, that we actually want to hear what the body has to say to us. Continuing to breathe, bring the palms together, begin to rub them together, creating some energy. And then placing the palms over the eyes, allowing that energy, upliftment, clarity to move into the brain. And you can begin to lengthen the arms above the head, stretching through the fingers and the toes. Rolling to your right side, pausing there for a moment. And using the arms to slowly press yourself up to seated. The head is the last thing to come up. And we can take the blanket, put it underneath our hips. Coming together one final time in this practice as a collective, as a community, with gratitude. Gratitude for this practice, gratitude for the space to practice, gratitude for our body's willingness to do what it did today, knowing that this is enough, that showing up and doing our best is enough. Teaching ourselves that it's okay not to force and push and punish. That it's okay to listen and to bend and to be with. Reminding yourself of your strength, inner and outer, of your confidence, inner and outer, of your ability to show up and to speak your needs and to speak your truth, inner and outer. Bringing the palms to the mind center, allowing it to be clear and loving. Palms to the heart, allowing our feelings, our beliefs, our thoughts to be clear and loving. Good, and then placing the hands down and bowing to your practice, to your truth, to that source of universal intelligence, by whatever name you call it. Know that it is moving through you in this and every moment. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.
Again, this is a great practice for ovulation or when you're feeling especially energetic and expressive and expansive. It is a bit heating in general, so if you're feeling overheated, you can take out the breath of fire and just do a calm, gentle breath. If you're noticing you're in the period of life where you're having hot flashes, good to just do a calm breath and slow down. Don't do as many vinyasas. Keep the practice more cooling. That will be much more balancing for your hormones, for your energy, for your mental clarity. And there will be more practices to come. So there'll be a luteal phase practice coming. There's already a menstrual phase practice available. And I plan to bring you practices for heavy cramps, painful periods, hot flashes, different stages of life and stages of our cycle. So if you have any requests, if something is especially present for you that you'd like a practice for, please leave it in the comments below. I would love to support you in that way. And continue to practice, continue to seek community, and continue to grow and expand. Thank you so much. Namaste.